Hello and welcome back to Angel's POV Cooking Diaries. Today we're going to go simple. We're going to make a basic bread dough. Really simple, really easy, okay? So if we start off with, let's have a look. So we got 3 milliliters of water. What I'm going to do with that is I'm going to add in a satchel, just one satchel of yeast. The water's warm, okay? The water's warm, and by adding the satchel of yeast, what we're going to do is we're going to get the yeast activating and starting to grow. To do this, to help it activate and start growing, what we need to add is just 1 teaspoon. We don't want to make the bread too sweet. I don't like sweet bread, to be honest. I like my bread to taste savoury. So just the 1 teaspoon. There we go. Let's try and get this. Okay, just 1 teaspoon, and just mix it in like that. Okay, nice and easy. Mix it in. And the warm water will then start to get the yeast working, and it will feed off the sugar. Nice and simple. Okay, so how do you make bread? Really basic ingredient we're going to go with today. So start off with 500 grams of plain or strong flour. I would say strong flour is the best, but plain does the job. This is plain. Okay, 500 grams. I'm going to judge it, but if you really want to go to measurements, 2 teaspoons of sugar, of salt, sorry, 2 teaspoons of salt. So about that much salt. Throw it in. With the olive oil, it should be 3 tablespoons of olive oil, but again, I like to go by hand, but say that's 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons of olive oil. That's it. And then it's as simple as the yeast that you've been activating, just throw it into the bowl. Now, bread needs kneading. Or mixing with a hook. You can do this by hand and just mix the dough in a bowl till it all comes together, and then just knead it by using this motion up against a worktop like that. Easy kneading. However, I'm lazy and I invested in my machine, so today all we're going to do is mix it on a medium speed. And for some reason it's not mixing, it's not plugged in. That's not good, is it? Eh? Well done. Okay, we're back in. Okay, so on a medium speed for 5 minutes. And the reason it's 5 minutes is because the machine will have the same effect as kneading the dough. And the reason we need to knead dough is simply so it becomes elastic, and the gluten, we're basically stretching the gluten in the flour, but it becomes elastic and you just get a nicer crumb. Okay, so we'll leave this for 5 minutes. I'll come back and we'll talk about the next stage. Okay, welcome back. So it's been mixing for about 5 minutes. As you can see, it's all come together. It's all come together, and it's a nice wet dough, as you can see. Too dry a dough, you don't get the same crumb structure if the dough is dry. I like it to have it a little bit sticky, like this. Not too sticky, but just a nice and elastic look. Now, if you haven't got a mixer, regrettably, you're going to have to get some elbow grease in. And basically, when you mix it together in the bowl and it comes together, what you need to do is, I'm trying to hold the camera at the right angle and it keeps on slipping, but what you need to do is knead it like that. And knead it, and knead it, and knead it. But you have to do this for 5 minutes. The kneading is vitally important. So if you don't do that, it won't be elastic. The crumbs will be tight, and because the gluten won't have stretched. So yes, regrettably, if you're doing it by hand, you need to knead it quite hard. Really give it some. With 2 hands, I'm just holding the camera with the other hand, but just give it, let me see if I can steady the camera. Okay, we're back. As you can see, it's all come together. It's been mixing for about 5 minutes. Just want to show you something. If you haven't got a mixer, what you can do is just mix the mix all in a bowl till it comes together, and then regrettably 4 or 5 minutes, because it's so important to stretch the gluten. For 5 minutes, you need to knead it like this. Really knead it in, okay? And what that does is it stretches the gluten and you get a nice crumb. If you don't knead it for 5 minutes, the crumb will be tight and it won't be such a nice loaf of bread. So there it is, there's the bread. What I'm gonna do now is plonk it back in the mixer like that. Leave it in there for a good hour. I'm going to cover it with a tea towel for an hour or so till it basically doubles in size. Because the water was warm, the dough's warm, so that will get the yeast reacting and it will double in size. I'll come back in an hour, at which point we will shape it. Today we're going to do quite a little fancy loaf, which is so easy to do, but it looks so impressive. And then we'll bake it once it's had its second proof. So I'm really sorry, but the video cut out. But basically, when it had rested for an hour, I kneaded it, took the air out, and cut it into 5 equal size lumps. And then, as you can see, I turned them into rolls. Okay, sorry, video cut out. But as you can see, there's the dough and in the 5 balls. I noticed today's quite a cold day, so it didn't prove as much as I'd like. I don't normally do this. Normally I'll leave it in the kitchen, but it's because it's a bit of a chilly day. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it through to the radiator, and I'm just going to balance it between the shelf and the radiator, so it's not actually touching the radiator, but it gets the heat from it. I'm going to leave it there for about an hour, and then we'll bake it. What I suggest you do in about 50 minutes time, I won't take that, but in about 50 minutes time, I'm going to put the oven on at 210 degrees. But yeah, okay, I'll see you in an hour. Okay, here we are again. Let me have a look. Look at that, it's risen nicely. This one's got a nice rise to it. Obviously the radiator heat worked. Try and do this with one hand so I can hold the video in the other. So let's have a look. So, as you can see, I put the oven on. It's not very clear, is it? Something like that. At 210. It needs to be quite hot for bread. Now what we're going to do is put it in the oven for about 25 minutes. So I shall come back in 25 minutes and we'll see how we get on. See you shortly. Okay, so it's been, I checked after 25 minutes, it's been half hour now really. Let's have a look, see how we're doing. Sorry that you get a reflection. Oh, look at that, people. Looks like we've had success on this one. Oh yes, look at that, lovely. And really nice. As So it's nice and hollow, look. So what we're going to do now is hopefully knock it out the tin. Like that. Take that off. The tin is just a normal, just a normal sponge tin really, but there she is. Look at that, lovely. Homemade bread, quite simple, basic ingredients. Check the details for a full list of ingredients. I really hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed making it. Thank you very much, and please subscribe and like and comment. And if there's anything you want me to try, just leave me a comment. Say, Angel, I want you to make, what am I making next? I want you to make mint and chocolate chip ice cream. There you go, that'll be next. Have a lovely evening, morning, day, weekend, week, depending on when you're watching. See you again. Angel's POV Cooking Diaries.